at your home, and I know it was a little isolated, but Easter still happens, and we're glad to celebrate our Savior's risen. So anyway, we're going to give time for Facebook to Instagram to start sending out invites, and soon as Cindy Aune joins us, I will add her to our feed. So anyway, Cindy's been with us since almost the beginning, and she's become a dear friend as well, and she lives over in Oxford, and she is, this is her paintings behind me, and I'm just waiting for her to get loaded into the feed. And I'll add her there. Let's see, there she is. I'm going to add you, Cindy. All right. Let's see if it works. It just takes a minute. You should be able to accept the invite that I sent you. All right, give us a few seconds. Just look at the bottom, Cindy, and see if there's an acceptance button to click. We had to regroup this morning. Oh, we're connecting. Almost there. Here we go.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. That's awesome. So glad you got logged in. All right, so there's going to be a little in our conversation, so we got to kind of work with each other on this. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump into the questions. You won't have to worry about me talking too much. We'll let you do the talking. And we're going to start with the first question. Let me find it. I forgot my notes at home, so I'm trying to find it on my phone. Okay, Cindy, let's start from the beginning. I had just told everybody that you had been with the gallery almost 10 years. It will be 10 years in August, and you were one of our first artists that we added. And in fact, I think that we did the website first, and you were on our website before we opened the doors. Yeah. So I want to know about you becoming an artist. What is your story, your personal journey as becoming a full-time artist, whether you were majored in art school or Ole Miss, if I recall you went to Ole Miss, and see if, tell us about how you were trained and
how I got here.
How you got here.
How I got here. Yeah, I did get an art degree from Ole Miss in 1978. So I'm older, but I really didn't use the art degree to the extent that I do now. An art degree back then was easier, for lack of a better way to say it. It was something I could do, so I didn't have to put much effort out to get a degree. But I went to work for the highway department as a draftsman, and then I started my own business because I had a little boy. So I developed a wholesale business, and for 25 years I ran a wholesale business, and we marketed most of the items in Atlanta, and then I had reps that did the rest of the country.
Right.
And we hand painted stuff, tchotchke stuff that you sold at gift stores and at resorts and that kind of stuff. Anything that we could hand paint, pillows and anything. And then from there, that continued for 25 years, and then in 2010 I closed that and I started painting large scale canvases.
Yeah. And that's kind of when you came on with us, 2010. Didn't you say 2010?
2010.
Yep.
And my first work was pretty marginal, but I think as time has developed, I've developed my own style.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Why don't you then tell us a little bit about, I know that you paint with acrylic, and can you tell people your process of like why you use acrylic and about your primary or your favorite imagery, what you typically paint these days? I know you did a lot of flowers and more commercial stuff back in the day, but what you do now is obviously figures. And so kind of tell us a little bit more about why you are drawn to do that.
Well, I texturize the canvases before I start to paint them. And then I ignore what's underneath, and I get all these weird undertones. And now I'm doing a series of black and white striped stockings and anything fanciful. So for right now, I'm kind of in the fanciful mode, red balloons and, anything that kind of is interesting to me. What, I'm looking in the wrong spot?
that right there. It's got the, it's got a stripe pad on.
Oh yeah,
When,
that's Flyboy. That's the newest piece, and that's from a series I'm going to call My Imagination. And I wake up in the middle of the night sometime and I can't remember my dreams, but I keep a pad by my table, by my bed now. So I sketched him out, and then the next morning I came in and painted it. I'm really drawn to exaggerating proportions right now. I do still do figurative stuff, and I still do the large scale faces, like over my left shoulder. But for right now, I'm kind of stuck right here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask you another question. Okay, sorry y'all with my phone. Let's see. I'm gonna ask you a question, and as you answer it, I'm gonna flip the iPad around so they can see a little bit more details. I do want you to tell a little bit more the depth of your paintings and how you paint with your hands, and then after that, talk about how you deal with distractions and trying to make sure you have time in the studio to do your work.
Okay. Well, I paint primarily with my fingers, but I have arthritis, so I'm having to use a brush a lot more than I used to. And it allows me to stretch the paint further. I can get it really, really thin pigment, and I really don't have to worry about an exact edge. And I just kind of wing it. Most most and make light move across the canvas differently.
Yeah. I see on this one, and the companion, as I would call the companion piece on these, there is a lot. I'm trying to let it get focused. There's a lot of depth in it and a lot of texture. I'm going to see if I can put my hand up on it so people can see. You can see my hand. See, there's lots of depth in there and lots of paint. You can feel some of the tissue and such that you put underneath it. And I just think they're so interesting because even with some of the drips, you've gone over those and they almost fall to the back. They're not primary as much in those two as maybe this one. This one has a little bit more, the drips show up more than say that one, even though they're in there. So I just think it's interesting that you usually have that. Turn this around. There we go. You usually have that, but you will use it in different ways when you paint. So
yeah,
and it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's layers and layers and layers of thin paint, thin acrylic paint.
Yeah. So tell us about how do you deal with distraction? You said sometimes you don't sleep well and you'll be out in the studio late at night.
I have a separate building from my home, and my husband is mostly retired, and I'm pretty much retired. I do what I want to most of the time whenever I want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I've noticed that it kind of ebbs and flows. When it's cold weather and it's like from January to March, middle of March or so, I stay in the studio and paint for a long time. Yeah. And the other times I'm just kind of in and out. And as far as distractions, I really have nobody that depends on me for anything. So right. I can paint whenever I want to. The only thing I have that depends on me is the 3 dogs. So they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So distractions really for me is a lot different for the I call them the normal person. Right. I really, it's not a big issue.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, that's a reward for getting at this stage in life that you can paint when you want to. And that's kind of what Key was saying last week, that, he just sets up a time. He goes to the studio every day, and, he said it never was really an issue for him. He said it was sometimes may have been a little selfish, but he just made his time and he went every day. But, it was work. And so I think that's people forget sometimes that
I worked,
you know.
I worked for a long time from 9 o'clock till when I finished. And now I've noticed lately I paint in the afternoons, but for a long time I just painted all morning. So it kind of ebbs and flows, and I call it the magic juju. Whenever it's really fun to paint and whenever everything works, I'm in the studio. And then I'll have spells where I can't produce anything. Everything that I paint looks not great, pretty bad. So I don't come in the studio when it's like that, because it's just constantly frustrating when you do that. So whenever it's working, I stay in the studio.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good to know. All right. So the last question I have for you is, why do you paint? Why are you an artist? And why did you not choose another career?
I think I've always been an artist. I grew up in South Louisiana, and I colored and I painted and I laid in front of the television, and I always was drawing something. And I didn't know. I didn't know. I was just passing the time. And then, like I said, I went to Ole Miss and I got an art degree, not because I was drawn to be an artist, but because that was something I could do. And then when I got out of college, like I said, I went to work, had a wholesale business. My focus was on making a living. I had 2 sons, and they consumed a vast amount of food. So I had to make a living. And as time has passed, I paint for me now. I paint what I see in my head, and it's almost as if I came to this place not by accident, but I didn't really plan it. I just kind of flowed along with wherever I was going. Yeah. And like I said, in 2010, I thought, hey, I can paint big canvases. So I started, and then it became just I guess the word's passion. I just have to every now and then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that, you know, a lot of the stories I've been hearing from the artist, each week we've been doing these, and 4 days a week. You know, they all have a little bit of a different story. They have a little bit of way they got there to being a full-time artist. Sometimes some of them are still working on, you know, doing a job over here and also being an artist at the same time. But it's all gets back to what they feel like they have to get something out on the canvas. They have to get, you know, something done. And when they do it for the reasons that they love art, then it seems to flow a little better than it used to, instead of meeting some commercial expectations. So anyway, well, go ahead. You want to add anything?
Well, I was just going to say, I have to now. I have to paint what I see in my head. And I want to see it finished. That's the reason I paint so fast, is I want to see what I see in my head finished in front of me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. I think that's neat. And you do paint fast, but yeah. I know that you'll paint something and you'll go back later and say, you know, something just doesn't look right. You'll say, I need that piece back. I need to fix something.
Yeah. I've done that several times to you.
And I know a couple times, not often, but I know Lee Gibson's come in with her paints and she's like, I got to fix something on that paint. I just need to fix it. And, you know, it's funny how, you know, it kind of haunts their heads, you know, your head saying, okay, something's wrong. I've got to figure out what it is and solve that problem.
Space from it to see what's wrong. Sometimes you need to back away from the piece and see what's wrong with it. You can't see it while you're working on it.
Yeah. I totally get that. Well, is there anything else you want to share with us today before we end our chat?
I don't think so. It was fun. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you got something. So.
Well, I've got your studio tour that I'll load up this afternoon on Instagram. I added somebody today, Robert Whitfield. I've been trying all weekend to get that to load, and I figured out how to do it right. And yours is very to hers, and so I knew if I got hers right, I could get yours right. So we'll do that this afternoon. And I'll have this recorded, and we'll try to load it to YouTube as well, so people, if they missed it, and see it on Live Stories. It'll be on Live Stories for 24 hours, and then if anybody sees the post I made this morning, if they want to go, they can go to YouTube. I'll try to add the link. I haven't been doing that, and that's something I need to do. I'll add the link to the post from this morning so people can go directly to YouTube if they missed the live feed. So anyway, thank you so much, Cindy, for your time, and thank you everybody who's been watching today. And tomorrow we are going to have Pat Gadden, who's a ceramist out of West Point, and he makes some really funky things. So it'll be fun. So anyway, thank you so much, Cindy. Y'all have a great day.
All right.